Hi everyone, for today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Sonia G Pro eye set. As you guys can see here, it is a set of 5 beautiful eyeshadow brushes. Now, I bought this off of beautylish.com a few months back, and I've been using it on and off for work and even on some of my YouTube videos. And I have to say, they are very good. It's worth the money. Now, speaking of money, this set actually retails for $150, and you don't really have to buy this set because you can actually buy the brushes individually. So if you're new to Sonia G, her Pro eye set actually belongs to her Pro series, and the best way that I can differentiate it is by the design of the handle. So her Pro series always comes in a handle like this, wherein it's chubby here in the middle and it tapers to a much more slimmer point as it nears the base. Her Sky series has the same handle design, but it comes in a blue color. Her Fundamental series has the same color as her Pro series, but it has a much more chubbier handle. So that's the main difference of her 3 brush lines. Now, I've actually had some reviews of her other brushes, so I'm going to put them down in the link in the description box so that you can also check them out for yourself. So for the Pro series, I'm so excited to talk about this because I have enjoyed this immensely when I have been putting this into good use for work. So I'm going to talk about these brushes individually so that we can get to know them together. Alright, so the first brush that we're going to talk about is the Worker Pro brush. So as you can see, it still has that very nice shine on the handle, very beautiful, and I still love that pop of color in the middle, which serves as a visual cue again. I've always said it, that this is where you hold the brush because it's heavy here. And unlike her Fundamental set, the weight is kind of distributed evenly throughout the entire brush handle. That's not the case with her Pro line. Now, I do love the brush head design of this brush. It's small, but it's quite full at the belly. You can really feel it here at the belly. It's also quite resilient. You can actually feel some strength on this brush head. Like if you just push it back and forth, you can really feel it go back into its original shape. Now, I really love how Sonia G names her brushes. So she named this as her worker brush. So this is the brush that will really do all the work for you. Now, I actually love using this brush to apply concealer on the other eye area and on applying cream eyeshadow products on the eyelids. I also have 2 other brushes that belongs to her Worker line. So I have the Worker 3 and 2, I think. And what I like about the Worker Pro is that it's actually much more smaller, and it can actually fit into like the inner corners of the eye area, like in the nice under eye area. And it can also it works very well with me because I have a smaller face, so I have like a smaller eye frame. So I need smaller brushes to reach like hard to reach areas, or if I want to add details. Now for the demo, I'm not going to show you guys how I use this to apply concealer because I have used this brush to apply concealers like in a number of videos that I have released on YouTube. So I'm going to try to see if I can find which videos are there, and I'm going to put them down in the description box. But for today, I'm going to use my Chanel cream eyeshadow, or I think liquid eyeshadow. I can't pronounce the name, so I'm just going to flash it here on the screen. And I've loaded the product on the brush head, and I'm just going to apply it generously on my eyelid. And as you can see, it's applying the color fairly well and fairly evenly. And I actually like to apply cream eyeshadows with a tapping motion because that really helps in building the coverage. Okay, so when I want to blend things out, I actually shift the way that I hold the brushes. So depending on where the product is on the brush head, so of course it's here. So I'm just gonna lay the brush along my crease and my socket line, and I'm just going to use short strokes to blend the color and to spread whatever is left of the product here on the brush head. And just like that, it applies the product very well and fairly easily. So I think that's what her Pro line is all about. It's about adding products fast, and it's also blending well. So it's like a 2-in-1 kind of a process, so that it shortens your application time and blending time, which is like great for people like me because like as a professional, I'm always pressed for time when I'm doing makeup. So having tools that helps me to apply product and to blend it at the same time is well appreciated. Alright, so that's my initial eyeshadow color down, and the next brush that I'm going to be talking about is the Builder Pro brush. Now the handles is still the same, it's still very pretty. So what I like about this brush is actually the brush head design. It is made of dyed psycho hair. Now again, if you're new to the Sonia G line, if you find one of her brushes that has dyed psycho hair, you can only use those brushes for powder products. While if you have undyed psycho hair like this Worker Pro, you can use this for both cream and powder products. Now the brush head design of these two brushes are almost the same, but the Builder Pro is actually smaller than the Worker Pro. Now the Builder Pro is the brush that I use when I want to build color into the eyelid. Now for example, I'm gonna pick up this very light color from this palette, and I'm just gonna load the product here on the very tips. So as you guys can see, the eyeshadow color is actually loaded well in the middle of the brush head up until the very tip of it. So what I like to do when I see this type of brush gets loaded with product, I actually like change the position of how I apply the color, because it also depends on where I want to place the color on the eye actually. But since this is a shimmer eyeshadow product and this is a very light color and I want to add drama like in the middle of my eyelid, close to my lash line, applying the color and shifting the brush into this position can actually help to apply the product fairly well in this area. So again, I'm just pressing the color and building the intensity. So of course, if you want more, you can always add more and build into the intensity that you want. Okay, and just like that, because as soon as I open my eyes fully, I don't really need to add a lot of the shimmer colors in my crease because it's just going to disappear when I start opening my eyes and start blinking. Of course, you can use this brush for matte eyeshadow. So if you want to intensify the color on your lash line, you can always apply the matte colors like this so that you concentrate the color along the lash line. And if you want to intensify the depth of your socket line or your crease, you can always apply the color by laying the brush like this and, you know, just going along your crease and socket line and using windshield wiper motions. It's fairly easy. Now, one thing that I do have to say is that with the brush head design here, if we look at it closely, especially here on the side, you can actually see that it kind of thickens at the belly, and then it tapers to a much more sharper point, not sharp, but it tapers to a much more thinner line as it reaches the top of the eyeshadow brush. And it is because of this actual brush head design, like this tapered kind of design, that it actually gives the brush head the ability to actually pick up hard pressed eyeshadow products. Because, like, you know, my older brushes, like for example my Laura Mercier eyeshadow brush, I've had this like for more than a decade now. If we compare it to the Builder Pro and even to the Worker Pro, they almost have the same brush head design, but if we shift everything to the side, we can see that the Laura Mercier eyeshadow brush here is actually thinner, while these two are actually thicker. So the Sonia G Worker Pro brush and the Builder Pro brush will actually pick up more pigment, and it can also pick up colors from hard pressed eyeshadows, while the Laura Mercier can't do that anymore. That's the main reason why I really loved using all of her brushes. Actually, it's because it has adjusted to the change in the formulations of eyeshadows most recently. Alright, the next brush that we have here is the Crease Pro brush, and if we can see the brush head design here, the best way I can describe it is like it is like the flame of a candle, and it kind of sharpens to an almost fine point at the very tip of the brush head. Now this is made of undyed psycho hair, so this is great to use for cream and powder eyeshadow products. Now truthfully, I have been using this a lot for cream eyeshadow products, and I do have to say though that it can be quite limiting, because I have found to use this brush on people who have a lot of this like deeper socket line here, or deeper crease lines like I do. But if I am working with someone who has a much more flatter eye, especially those who have like Asian eyes, I can't really use this. But of course you can, but it just takes more time and practice and effort. But this brush actually fits very well into the crease, and it just, you know, gives you the ability to lay colors and to blend it out at the same time. So let's do that. So I actually have here my Laura Mercier caviar stick in cocoa, and I'm just loading the color at the brush tip here, as you can see, and I'm making sure that I am loading the color all over the brush tip. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to apply the product. Okay, that's too much. I'm going to remove some of that here at the back of my hand. So I'm just going to apply the product here along my crease and into my socket line, and I'm just blending it into the Chanel cream eyeshadow that I applied earlier. And what I like about this brush is that because it almost tapers to a fine point here, this actually gives me a much more defined crease, because as you can see here, it's actually creating that very nice soft diffused line, but it's making it look very much emphasized. So that's what I love about this brush. Now I'm not really worried about the intensity of the line because I have hooded eyes, so as soon as I open my eyes, the color disappears. But what I like about this brush is that not only does it apply a good amount of color into my eyelids, but it also blends it out at the same time, and it can also help me to build the shape that I want to a certain extent. Okay, so I'm just shifting how I hold the brush, and I'm just blending it out and up. All right, and that's it. Fairly easy. Now one thing that I like about the Crease Pro brush is that it reminds me of my Laura Mercier ponytail brush. Now as you can see here, this is a very old brush, like the handle has already shown its age, but the brush head designs are almost the same. Like they remind me of candle flames, and the main difference is that the Crease Pro brush has more strength. That's why it enables me to blend colors out fairly well, and it's able me to use cream eyeshadow products or even like very hard pressed eyeshadows. But with the Laura Mercier here, this is made of squirrel hair, so this is just too soft, and it does very well of picking up, like, you know, those talc based eyeshadow products, and it does apply a very smooth eyeshadow color on the eye. But you know, those types of eyeshadow products are few and far in between now, and the eyeshadow products that I have noticed that are being released into the market today are like, they have like a much more creamier base, so you actually need more strength and resiliency in an eyeshadow brush to actually pick them up and to apply them fairly well into the eyelids. So this brush again applies cream colors very well and blends them out extremely well. So the next brush that we have here is the Blender Pro brush, and it has a very fluffy brush head. So as the name implies, this is what you use to blend out eyeshadow colors on the eyelid. Now one thing that I have observed with this brush head is that it is not the typical blending brushes that you get, like, you know, being sold in the market, because like for example, I actually love using this Polydorf brush for blending eyeshadow colors out, and it has a much more dome-like design, while the Blender Pro has a much more candle-like, like candle flame-like design, except it doesn't taper to a sharp point at the very tip of the brush head. And what I like about that design is that it actually enables me to anchor the brush here in my crease, and this also enables me to blend out the colors fairly well on the eyelid and into the brow bone. So let's do that again. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to set this color, the cocoa caviar stick from Laura Mercier, and I'm just going to be using this very neutral brown here and a little bit of this light pink brown here. And I'm just going to use that along my socket line. And I'm just going to blend out everything. And the brush head is very soft. It's very easy to use and very easy to handle. And you blend out colors in no time. Okay, the next brush that we have here is the Pencil Pro brush. And I think that this is the most versatile brush on the set because you can use this for a number of things. Like for example, you can actually use this to blend out edges. Like especially if you want to create the shape that you want for your eyeshadow application, you can actually use this just to blend out everything while guiding the color into the shape that you want on your eyes. It's very soft, but it's also very dense, so it works extremely well. Now you can also use this brush for applying gentle highlights. Like for example, I'm applying like a very nice gentle highlight here, and you can also apply highlights here on the inner corner of the eye just to help open up everything. Now the brush head of the Pencil Pro is actually made of undyed Zycoho hair, so we know now that we can use this for cream or powder products. So just an example, so I have this caviar stick from Laura Mercier, and I'm applying it here on my lash line. Alright, and I can actually use the Pencil Pro if I want to soften the edges or blend that out. And we can also use this for, like, you know, adding definition here on the outer crease. Like, you know, if you want to create that a much more deeper outer crease here, just to add more emphasis and just to help it, you know, open up the eye, you can also do that. And you can also use whatever is left on the brush head, and you can use that to emphasize your outer lash line or your lower lash line with it. I think I want to add a little bit more. Okay, I'm just blending everything. Alright. Okay, so I just have to blend it out some more. Alright, I'm quite happy with that. Now, if you want to add more drama into the eyelid, you can actually use this brush to pick up those very creamy, glittery eyeshadows. Unfortunately, I don't have any of that here with me at the moment, but because of this very dense brush head, this can enable you to pick up a lot of those glitter eyeshadows. And you can also, like, you know, use that to pat the color on the eyelid. Alright, and I'm just gonna blend out the edges here. Okay, and I'm happy with that. And just like that, you can actually create a very nice eyeshadow story on your eyes using these 5 eyeshadow brushes. Alright, so one of the main questions that I got when I actually presented the Pro Eye Set in a haul video, I think, I can't remember, was it a haul video? One of the main questions that I got is that which is a much more better eye set, the Pro Eye Set or the Sky Eye Set? Now, truthfully, you know, having either of these two brush sets will actually depend on, like, your lifestyle and on your eye shape. The Sky Eye Set actually works with people who have, you know, flatter eyelids or those who have Asian eyes, because the brush heads here are smaller. And although you only have one brush here that you can use for cream products, but you can also use this for powder, but this just enables you to apply color in a much more smaller area. And you have brushes here that can also help you to create details on your eyelid. So, you know, if you want to add smoky colors on your lash line, you can use this, or if you want to intensify or to create a crease, you can use this, and you can also use the mini booster here to intensify the crease and to blend it out. So that's what I like using this brush set for. While the Pro eye set here, I actually use this with people who have much more deeper sockets, so eyes like mine, because of how the brush heads are designed. You know, they're almost tapered into a point. So this just really anchors itself in the socket line, and it just enables you to blend them out fairly well. The way that Sonia G actually marketed the Sky eye set is that this is actually for someone who's always constantly on the go or who's constantly traveling, because this brush set actually enables you to apply products and colors fairly well and fairly easily. And the only limitation that I can see with this brush set is that you only have one brush here that you can use for cream products. To me, that's limiting because I use a lot of cream eyeshadow products, and the only time that I use powder eyeshadow is that when I want to, like, you know, diffuse colors on the eyes. But truthfully, I actually like combining these two brush sets together because this enables me to work with an array of eyeshadow formulas, and it also enables me to, like, you know, work very fast, and it enables me to create very well blended eyeshadow colors on the eyelid. So if you're someone who's just, like, you know, thinking of becoming a professional makeup artist, or for someone who's starting to collect Fude, having these two eyeshadow brush sets actually is very beneficial for you. So I think that's it for me today. Now, if you guys have any more questions about the Pro eye set, please leave them down at the comments box below and let's have a conversation about this. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you're having a good day wherever you are. Bye bye.